Do you want to build a 100 crore company? If yes, then today's guest on Entrepreneur Talks, who is a founder of Dr. Vaidya's, Arjun Vaidya, will tell you how to do it. In this episode, we talked about how to build your business in the first year, things you should avoid, and things which are important for you in the first year of your business, how to scale your business, and many more things about entrepreneurship. Watch this episode till the end to build your own 100 crore company. Hello Arjun.
Thank you so much for having me.
How was your one last year, particularly that lockdown period for you?
Yeah, so I think for us the lockdown period was very emotionally and mentally taxing, but exceptional for the business as well, right? So there's two sort of different things playing together. It was the best year for the business, but also the toughest year for the business. Not in terms of sales, in terms of growth, in terms of number of customers, but in terms of operations and managing it, right? So we were in the office, I remember, when we saw the news of the lockdown being announced, etc., all of that. That day we had 11,000 orders to pack. Our team stayed till 5 a.m. the next morning packing the orders and left. And then I went to the office at 9-10 a.m., called all the courier guys and said, whatever these 11,000 orders are, take them, because we don't know whether we'll be able to dispatch orders for some time. When lockdown came, the last day we were in the office, right? The last day everyone was together in the office. I remember telling my team, I don't know what's going to happen ahead, but I do know that it will be really important for all of us to stay working through this period, because we are in the medicine business, we are in the Ayurveda business, and people will need their medicine through this time. And that's what eventually ended up happening, right? Like the government talked about the importance of Ayurveda, the importance of Chyawanprash, boosting your immunity, Kadha, etc., all of that. And we were at the forefront of this, right? So I remember even being on a session with Shripad Nayak, Piyush Goyal ji, and them telling us as the Ayurveda industry, please stay open during this time, because we as a country need to be open during this time, right? So a warehouse team of 25 people came down to 6 people, of which 3 were my wife, my brother and me in the warehouse packing orders. But we knew we had no other option, right? If there were so many customers wanting their medicine, so many patients wanting their medicine, it was our job to do it. So the first few sort of months of lockdown were going to the warehouse, unloading the tempo that came from our factory in Silvassa, unloading 750 kilos, taking out the boxes, unpacking those boxes, packing orders and packing 5 to 10,000 orders every day. After June, I think things started to open up a little bit, and things started to open up slowly, and we got a few more people into the office, into the warehouse. And then we had some really unique product launches, really apt product launches at the time, right? So we launched a fruit and veggie wash, one of the first few brands to launch that. We launched an Ayurvedic sanitizer, we launched immunity boosters, we launched Kadha. So we were at the center of what was happening, and doing that at the right time and providing the right products for consumers, that allowed us to really propel ourselves from market leader to way ahead of competition. And then eventually, you know the story, I think the business grew nicely, and in December, RP Sanjeev Goenka Group made an offer to acquire the business. We thought the offer was fair, and we took the offer, and in March officially exited the business and hand over to them. So I think amazing period for the business, but also very tough emotionally, physically and mentally.
Right. So you had your business idea, you started working on it, and you took it from 0 to 1. So like what I am very fascinated about and excited about to know this, that how was the first 3 months of building Dr. Vaidya look like?
So I would split Dr. Vaidya's into 3 parts, right?
Okay.
Year 1, where we basically got everything wrong. Year 2, where we figured out our business model and we learned the business model ourselves.
Okay.
And year 3 and 4, where we scaled the business, right? So I think year 1 was the toughest, because look, I was 24 and a half years old. I was not had much experience in business. Nobody took me seriously as well, right? People were like, what is this 24, 25-year-old kid trying to do in an industry where there are no startup brands, there are no new brands coming for, like, all the brands are like 50, 100, 200 years old or like really sort of solidly backed. So in all of this, what is this guy trying to figure out, right? And 2016 end is when we started. At that time, there was no online D2C, none of that, right? There was only offline. So we started offline. We launched Herbo Fit, which is Chyawanprash in a capsule, and Live It Up, which is a hangover product. And we launched offline, and
Offline in Mumbai only?
Offline only in Mumbai. So we had a big launch event at Taj Lands End Hotel. After that event, we signed up 6 distributors and they placed 10 lakh rupees worth of orders by Jan 2017. And that was like amazing. I was like super excited, 10 lakh rupees. And I was a private equity analyst, right? So I'm like saying 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs, 50 lakhs, 1 crore, 5 crores. Like this is a great business. It's already happening. We had 22 sales reps on field going from store to store selling our product. 3 months later, I got 9 lakhs worth of this 10 lakhs of goods returned to me. What I realized then is actually this 10 lakhs was primary sales to distributor. Distributors sell to retailer, retailers sell to customer. Only once customer buys does the retailer pay the distributor who pays you. Until then, you've not had a sale. And when I got this like 9 lakhs worth of stock back in March of 2017, I just thought there's something horribly wrong with what I'm doing, right? Now, most people would have said, "Nahi, maybe I did something wrong, let me try it, etc." But I just thought to myself, there's too much competition. I am not good at this. And so, I can't do it, right? And that was the best decision that I ever made at Dr. Vaidya, to say, offline, there is nothing for me to create. We are going to pivot this brand online and see what happens, right? And my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, she had moved from the UK. She studied there. She worked at Goldman Sachs, came back here, was in the founding team at Nykaa, and then moved to impact investing. And she was telling me this e-commerce thing is happening and I've seen it at Nykaa. It's here to stay. It's not just a fad. And there's no one doing Ayurveda online, so go ahead and sort of push for it. And I told her, sure, but you have to join. So both families said, until you guys get engaged, she cannot join the business. So we got engaged, and then by summer of 2017, she joined the business. We started figuring out how we're going to do online and launched drvaidyas.com in November 2017 with 29 products. So first it was actually struggle, learning, failing, trying everything under the sun. And not figuring out why we're not going right. But by November 2017, 1 year later, we had figured out what we were doing.
Now, here comes the risk appetite part, and also because in your first year, you were just trying everything and sort of failing at what you are doing. So some things are going working out for you, some things are not going in your way, and eventually you find out that I want to take this brand into online. But what are those 3 biggest key learnings and challenges of that, particularly that initial period of taking that brand from online to offline?
So look, I'll tell you in general what are my 3 key learnings as a founder, right? The first one is that however big or small your company is, as an entrepreneur, you have to accept the fact that you will face failure every day. And you need to know how to deal with it, right? And when I started, I just could not deal with failure. I put a post on LinkedIn with a quote on failure, and that embodies what an entrepreneur's journey is. An entrepreneur's journey is a walk from failure to failure. But after each failure, you grow with enthusiasm, right? And so learn from the failure. It's easier said than done. With grit and resilience, and fight through the tough times, right? So that's the first thing. Failure comes every day, but you got to fight with grit and resilience. The second thing is, young entrepreneurs like I was, think we can do everything ourselves. The reality is, you can't do anything without a strong team, because there are only 14 to 16 hours of work you can put in on a daily basis, even if you want, even if you max yourself out, right? You can't work more than that. So I think that's the second learning, that you can't do it alone. And the third learning, I speak to a lot of young founders now, in my new avatar as an investor. Entrepreneurship is not part-time. I have a hobby. My hobby is my podcast. My hobby is running. My hobby is playing cricket. That's my hobby. But my full-time cannot be part-time until it grows and then it can become full-time. So there's a lot of people saying, yeah, I'm doing this on the side while my job is going on. When this becomes big, I'll quit my job. No, doesn't happen. A hobby can be part-time. If you're in as an entrepreneur, you have to be full-time to build something scalable. So it's okay to be not in, right? But you can't be slightly pregnant with entrepreneurship. And everyone doesn't have to be an entrepreneur. If you have it in you want to do it, you can do it. But you can't be half in and half out. These are my 3 key learnings as a founder.
in Indian startup ecosystem, what like many startup misses the point is they don't have the long term vision कि company को कहाँ पे लेके जाना है. उनको अगर आप पूछोगे तो अभी इतना पता है, we will figure out it on the way, and they don't prepare for the long term, and in that process they fail. Many startups fail because of that. So like have you built a long-term planning? I know you have built like you had that long-term vision for the Dr. Vaidya where you wanted to take it.
So I think long-term vision is important, but the 100-day plan is as important. Have your long-term vision to scale the mountain.
This little bit more because is very young.
So have a long-term vision. So think about a mountain, right? You're scaling a mountain. You know you have to get to the peak of the mountain, right? But there are many ways to get to that peak. So split your journey into many smaller goals, short-term and medium-term goals that get you to different parts of the mountain, because along the way, after 100 days, you may realize, hey, this road is, I can't go on this road because there was a blizzard there. So I got to move to that road, right? So if you split the journey of 10 years into multiple journeys, 30 journeys of 100 days, that's the only way you can get there, because it's very difficult to predict what's going to happen 1 year later. You know 10 years later or 5 years later where you want to go. But 1 year later, what's going to happen? COVID happened, didn't happen, digital grew, money came, didn't come, laws changed, government changed, you don't know. But 100 days you can build a plan that's actionable and implemented.
So like as an entrepreneur, like as an entrepreneur, as a normal person also, habits play a very important role in our life. Like,
and a routine.
Yes. And if we do exercise regularly, we become physically fit. And in that process, we eat healthy and all the other changes that we gain from that. So for me, journaling has been the very crucial habit that helped me building the spotlight. Also, I solved so many problems because of it. My mental stress became very less after I journaled. So like, what was that one habit that helped you during that Dr. Vaidya period? Because as you said, it was.
I think for me, look, I think I met Shrijesh, who was the Indian hockey goalkeeper, right? And when I met him, we were talking to him and all of that, and he was telling us that I worked 21 years for this one moment. And that moment was the last penalty corner that Germany got. It was actually overtime. Like the time had already passed, 70 minutes already passed. They got 17 extra seconds and they got that penalty corner. And he said had they scored that penalty corner, the game would have gone to overtime. I had to save that penalty corner. And he said, while that period of them taking the penalty corner, them prepping for the penalty corner, us waiting for them, while that happened, my 21 years of preparation came back to me, and I said, I have prepared for 21 years to save this penalty corner to win the medal for India. I have to save the penalty corner. There's no chance I'm not going to save it, right? And eventually, we saved the penalty corner. We won our first medal in 41 years in hockey, and now hockey's back, right? And that's amazing. It's a national sport. For me, what my dad used to keep saying is, you'll get the chance, just be patient. So for me, it was show up every day with the same vigor and enthusiasm to work, because one day you'll get the chance. Maybe it's 1 year later, maybe it's 2 years later, maybe it's 5 years later, but we will get the chance. As long as you're sure you're doing good, honest work and putting the effort, at some point you'll get that opportunity. Once you get that opportunity, it's your prerogative and your responsibility to jump on it. But showing up every day with the same vigor and enthusiasm was what I thought helped us.
Right. So, like, what you struggle with the most when you are taking key decisions?
Opportunity cost. If you don't have clarity,
can you? Sorry to cut you off. Can you just explain opportunity cost?
Sure. That opportunity cost is very simple. It's the cost of the other opportunity you're letting go while you're making a specific decision. But I think as a younger entrepreneur who hadn't got much success, I think we have a lot of cloud when we make decisions, right? And so clarity of thought is really important. You don't when you're young and you're early and you've not got much success, you think everything will work for you. ये भी try करो, वो भी try करो, ये भी try करो, वो भी try करो, something will work for you, right? But with more time, you know what you want to do and you don't have to do everything, right? So having clarity of thought through decision making is extremely important, because you will make certain decisions, you choose not to make certain decisions, you choose not to do certain things, right? If you're taking 100 decisions a day, you're not going to be good at it. It's too many decisions. Your mind is clouded, it's decision fatigue. So picking the right things to do and having the clarity of thought and judgment, that's what I learned through my time.
So, what is that one personal habit that helped you in your professional life and one professional habit that helped you in your personal life?
A personal habit that helped me in my professional life was working hard. It's something that I always had, like even from school, right? I didn't get anything easy, so I had to work hard for everything. And that helped me a lot in my professional life. I think from my professional life, what has helped me in my personal life, it's not taking failure too hard, right? Because prior to this, I didn't have as many failures as I had in the last 4.5 years. As an entrepreneur, you face more failures than anybody can ever face, right? And so I think not taking failure too hard, that's what I got from my professional life.
Right. One entrepreneur you admire the most, why?
I think there are many, but Bill Gates. I've had sort of time watching Bill Gates documentary Inside Bill's Brain, and never seen someone as smart as him, with as much clarity of thought as him. So Bill Gates, yeah.
Okay. One Indian startup that amazed you the most.
Byju's.
Okay.
It's amazing, right? Look at the story. It's a teacher who's built India's most valuable startup. It shows that your background has nothing to do with the ability to create success, and if you really build something of value, whichever industry it will scale.
One app that is very helpful for you.
WhatsApp.
No social media apps.
No social media apps. Google Maps. Yeah. I remember life before Google Maps, and it was impossible.
Okay, fine. Your favorite book and why?
Purple Cow by Seth Godin. It's a marketing book. I'm a brand guy, so it taught me a lot about brand building and brand creation.
Okay. Favorite quote that you live by?
Nice guys don't finish last. I consider myself a nice guy, and people used to say nice guys don't finish last, and I don't believe it at all.
Okay. One personality change after becoming an entrepreneur?
Personality change after becoming an entrepreneur. Never judge a book by its cover. You just never know the potential or power or ability to achieve or has achieved by just meeting someone and speaking to them for 5 minutes. Never judge a book by its cover.
Thank you so much for
Thank you.
this opportunity to me.
No, thank you for having me, and thank you to all of you who've watched it.
And I really hope that you guys learn something from this podcast, learn something about how to build a business in your first year. I think you should get proper insights from this podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Please do drop a like and share this video with your friends. Share this video with a friend who is just starting his business or just in his first year of his business.
And subscribe to the Spotlight channel now. When Dr. Vaidya's became a success, came to me and said, "You're such a smart and hardworking guy. I always knew you'd be a success." There are only 2 times you can start a business. At 25, when you have a little bit of experience,